So hi students, the recording for our January 18th class did not take. So here's what we're going to do. Our goal at the end of this class is to show that we can use the Bezier tool, the pencil tool, calligraphy, rectangle, square, ellipse, circle, star, polygon, that we can vector and use filters. So there was one more that we didn't cover, and that was the gradient tool as well. So I'll also show you how to use the gradient tool in this tutorial, and that we know how to use layers. Basically what we're doing today is just reviewing DigArtsI 1 to make sure that you do know how to do everything in that class. If you go down to live classes, you'll notice that, as I said in the welcome video, that I've got all of the classes sectioned out. So you're going to find this video in the week 1 Thursday, January 18th class. It's not there right now because I'm still making it. But you're also going to find this review practice page here. You need to click on that and download it, and make sure that you save that in your DigArtsI folder that you created when you were getting set up. If you don't know what I mean by get set up, you need to come back and watch the welcome video. That's right here at the beginning, and you need to come into the get set up folder, and you need to watch these tutorials and make sure that you have everything set up. Essentially what we're doing today is we're doing this review of DigArtsI 1, and it looks like there's even a test at the end of it. So after you finish doing this, you probably will be able to take this test, and maybe I'll go over that with you just to make sure that you get it at the end. So once you have that practice file downloaded, you're just going to go ahead and open up your Inkscape, and you'll want to resize your windows so that you've got this video playing in one side, your Inkscape in another, and by holding down Alt and clicking Tab, you can just toggle back and forth between the windows. So we're going to start off. I'm going to go ahead and just open mine all the way so you can see everything. And the first thing we're going to do is hit 5, because that will size the canvas so that it fits in the window perfectly. Hit the number 5. And then File, Import. And what you're doing is you're just importing that DigArtsI 1 review practice page that you just downloaded. Okay, and then you just click and drag it so that it fits on your canvas. All right, and then this is going to be, this is layer 1 essentially. That's why you imported it. Remember, I didn't ask you to open it. Okay, I told you to import, so make sure you follow that direction. If you didn't, you can just close this out, don't save your changes, and start all over. So your first layer is going to be locked. This is just going to be a template that we're going to kind of use to keep organized. You notice that you can make layers visible or invisible by clicking on the eye. We are going to make a new layer, so click the plus. And before I do that, I actually have to save my file, so you might as well go ahead and save with me. So click Save As, and I want you to name this your first and last name, not mine, yours. Your first and last name comes first, and then you'll call it DigArtsI 1 Review. I'm going to put a 2 after it because I have the first one that I did earlier in class, and that recording didn't take, so I'm going to put a 2 after mine to distinguish between the two files. And now that I have saved, that's going to clear up RAM. RAM is random access memory. When your computer's RAM is all used up, your Inkscape is going to freeze, and you'll be like, my Inkscape's not working. You have to save, and I will have to save, since I'm making a recording, after every single thing I do. So I'm going to click plus, and I'm going to call this layer My Work, and then enter to add the My Work layer. And I'll click on it and highlight it, and that lets Inkscape know that's the layer I want to do my work in. So the first thing we're going to do is play around with the pencil tool, and we are going to grab the magnifying glass, and you'll notice if you just click, it will zoom in, and if you hold down Shift and click, it will zoom out. So try that. Click, it zooms in, hold down Shift and click, and it zooms out. So get it about the size that you want it and use your scroll bars so that it takes up most of your window. Isn't that nice? Perfect. So now I am going to grab the pencil tool. So this is your pencil tool down here. It looks like a pencil. And if you hover your cursor over it, it says draw freehand lines. So I want that, and I want you to set your smoothness to like 5. So I just click down here where I know about 5 is, or you can use your arrows. And then we are going to just kind of trace over this line. And the reason I'm having you do that is because I want to show you that when your smoothness is really low, your lines look super rickety, okay? Something I didn't mention, and I probably should have mentioned earlier, and I'm sorry, is that if you don't have a layers panel, if you don't have layers over here, just go to layer and click layers right here, and that'll give you your layers. Sorry, if that was you, just get your layer and then rewind this video and go back and watch that part again about locking your layer and creating a new one. My apologies. Now we're at this point, we are going to, we're going to increase the width of this line and make it thicker. This is called a stroke. A line is pretty much a stroke. So we're going to go to the object menu and we're going to click on the fill in stroke box, okay? And then you'll notice when you have your fill in stroke open that it minimizes your layers. So you can just click back and forth between your layers and your fill in stroke box over here. So this is the fill. If we were doing a shape like a circle, we could fill it with a color, but we don't have a fill because it's just a line, it's a stroke. So you can go over here to the stroke paint tab, and if I love the wheel's my favorite, and you can grab this outer edge and you can move that around and change the hue. Might not be working on my video because of the fact that I'm making a video, but normally it would change the colors. Oh, it was set over here. I had this little inner circle on black. So if I bring it, my circle more over into the color area of the triangle, I can move this around and you'll notice that the color of my line changes. It's a pretty thin line. I want to make it thicker. So I'm going to click stroke style and I'm just going to bump it up a little bit. Okay, now if I go back and I play around with that wheel, I can see what I'm doing. So you can get different shades. Shade is when you add black, or you can get different tints when you add white. That's a tint. Okay, and these are the hues on the outer edge. All right, so the other way that you can change that is down at the bottom you have a palette and there's a scroll bar. You can scroll and see there are a ton of colors in the palette. If you want to change a stroke or a line, you have to hold down Shift and then click on the color. Perfect. So for me, after every move, if I want to change, I have to save. So remember, like I said, something on your Inkscape's not working, just click save and then come back and it should work. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead and create a new line with our pencil tool. So make sure your pencil tool is selected. But this time, let's increase the smoothness to about 45. So I'm just going to click about here in the middle, 46, 47, somewhere around there. And hit save, and then just start drawing. And follow that second line. And when you're done, you'll notice that it's super smooth. And make sure that your mode up here is set to create regular Bezier path. Make sure that that box is checked. It should all automatically by default be checked. Perfect. So you've got a nice smooth line. You can go to your stroke style and your fill in stroke box and you can increase the width of it. And now we're going to create a dot. A really fun way to create a dot is just using the pencil tool. And all you have to do is hold down the control button and click, and you have a dot. Hold down control, click, and you have a dot. All right, so remember that control means what it says in this program. It controls the proportions of things. We're going to draw a straight line now, and it's a little trickier. I don't know if this recording will let me do it, but I'll tell you how to do it if it doesn't work for me. You click and release, and then hold down Control and go down to the end point and click. Oh, good. It did work. If you ever get caught up and you've got an extra little funky thing going on, just hit Escape. Okay? You can also hit Control-Z to undo something that you didn't like. So let's increase the stroke of that nice straight line, and let's change the color to red. So remember, to change the color down here on your palette, you have to hold down Shift and click. And if it's not working, just save to free up your RAM. Awesome. We're going to do that again. We're just going to create another straight line. So make sure your pencil tool selected and hit save wherever you're at. And you're going to just click, release, hold Control, click your endpoint and release. Increase the width. And this time we're going to make it a dashed line. I'm going to click save and just click that drop down box where it says dashes and select whichever one you want. It doesn't have to perfectly match mine. And you can change the color of that by going down to the bottom and hold down Shift, and I'm going to make mine blue. And then save. Now, if you want to make it so that nothing is selected, just grab your Select and Transform Objects tool. This is what you grab objects with. Click on that, and then just click anywhere off of it. And now you don't have anything selected. Perfect. So you've got your pencil tool done. Now down here, let's just scroll over and let's go to the Bezier tool. Bezier is a French word. In French, any words that end in IER are pronounced yay. Bezier. Bezier. And that is this tool right here. If you hover your cursor over it, it'll tell you that that is the Draw Bezier Curves and Straight Lines tool. And then click on that and click in the first corner, just click and release. Go to your next corner, and what we're going to do though is hold down Control so that you get a nice vertical line. Okay, and keep holding Control and then click on the corners, and now release Control, and you're just going to come back, and once that turns red, you'll click. Mine's going to be a little funny because I'm making a video, and it doesn't like to make triangles when I make videos with this program. Snag it. So I'm going to hit Control-Z, and I'm going to try it one more time, turn off the video, and see if that helps. All right, I got it to work. Perfect. So I'm going to increase my stroke, and I'm going to fill it. And that's super easy. All you have to do is just go down to the bottom, and this time you don't have to hold anything. And I'm just going to click. So whenever you click on the palette, remember that creates a fill. The other way to fill things is over here in your Fill tab in the Fill and Stroke box. If you don't want to fill, you click the X. So X takes away the fill. This right here says flat color. That gives you a flat color fill. You can also do gradients. And you can do, that's a linear gradient. And you can do a radial gradient, and there's other things that you can do. So just play around with it. But I'm going to do flat, and you're welcome to use the wheel if you want to. You can play around with these other ways of manipulating color. There's also opacity. Make sure your opacity is set to 100%. If you want to be able to see through something, you just decrease your opacity. But we want it at 100. There we go. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to grab our Select and Transform tool, and we're going to hit Control-C to copy it and Control-V to paste it. And that didn't work for me. Let's try edit, copy, edit, paste. There. So yes, when I make videos, it gets a little crazy around here. File, save, and these tools right here, this will let you rotate your selections by 90 degrees. If I wanted to, I could use that to rotate it around a couple times, or I can flip it and then flip it again using the flip over the x-axis And now I want to shrink it down a little bit. I'm going to hold Control and grab my corner and shrink it down. And then just move it down a little bit. Why did I hold down Control when I shrunk it? Well, you can play around with it and see what happens. If you don't hold Control, you can get all kinds of different wonky things happening. So I'm going to hit Control-Z, whoops, and bring it back so that it's the way I liked it. And I'm going to increase my stroke so it's nice and big like the one underneath it. And now I'm going to show you how to use this Nodes tool. So click File, Save. Here's the Nodes tool. Once you have that selected, I'll have to hit Save again. You're just going to grab this edge and bend it so you can reshape things. Isn't that fun? And that's it. And now just change the colors of your stroke and your fill. Do you remember how to do that? So let's change the stroke to red. You're going to hold down Shift and click red. And then let's change the inside to yellow. So just click on yellow. You don't have to hold anything down. Perfect. You can click outside of it to deselect it. And then I'm going to scroll over to the calligraphy tool. So calligraphy tool is right underneath. You're going to click on that, and then you'll notice that you have different ways that you can adjust it. And up here in my right hand corner, and sometimes it shows up at the bottom, it shows that my fill is yellow and my stroke is red. So I can go ahead right now before I even start drawing and change the fill and stroke the way I want it. So I'm going to go ahead and change my stroke to black by holding down Shift. I don't know if it's going to let me do it before I've drawn. Yep, it did. It changed my stroke to black. And my fill, I'm going to do pink. You can do yours whatever you want. Let's see. Here's a pretty pink color. You just click it. You don't have to hold on Shift for fill. Now, I'm going to just start drawing. So I'm just going to kind of trace over this. And if it looks totally different, like maybe it's too thin or maybe it's too thick, just adjust your width. I have my width set to 45. You can change yours how you want it. And you can also decrease your stroke width so it's not so thick. And then you can go ahead and once you've got that set up, you can draw another one. All right, so if you want to, please change the stroke and fill on this one. So remember to change the stroke, you hold down Shift, and to change the fill, you just click whatever color you want. Perfect, that works for me. Let's go down to the next row. We're going to just do the rectangles really quick, okay? So that first rectangle looks like I wanted to teach you how to do a gradient using the gradient tool. So let's see what happens. So grab your rectangle tool right here, and you're just going to click and drag a rectangle. And I'm going to increase my stroke a little bit. And we're going to create a gradient inside. And we're going to use the gradient tool to do that. So if your gradient tool is not showing up here, it's because it's down a little further. You'll get a little arrow and you can just click gradient. I'm going to make sure I hit save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold and drag. Look at that. Isn't that fun? All right, and I'm going to go all the way to the other edge and I'm going to release. Now click save. Now, double click in the middle, and that creates another little gradient mark. And let's go over to your fill and click on, I think, HSL. And you can go ahead and pick a color here. So I'll maybe make that one a blue color. And you can adjust these sliders here. Lightness, saturation, that kind of thing. Okay, now double click right here. I'm gonna click save first. Double click in the middle there and pick another color and put green there. That might not have been the best choice. Maybe I want to do blue. Remember to use your sliders to pull in the colors that you're wanting. Isn't that fun? How cool is that? Now click down here somewhere. Put another color in. That's so cool. Remember your saturation. If your color's not showing up, S is for saturation. That means it's desaturated. Up your saturation to get that color. Amp it. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, what color do you want the outline of your rectangle? Right now, you have your gradient tool selected, so if you want to do the stroke on your rectangle, you got to click on your rectangle tool again. So I'm clicking my rectangle. Now I can go ahead and change a stroke, and I think I'll change it to, let's use an eyedropper. See this little eyedropper right here? I'm going to go File, Save one more time, click my eyedropper, and I can actually click, yeah, it's not going to work. Let's see here. What I'm going to do is click on my selection tool. There. Now I know I don't have a gradient selected. Oh, and I better hit Control Z because my yellow thing went away with that last move. Yeah, remember Control Z? You can edit undo, and you can edit redo. You can even look at your undo history. Let's see, and you can check and look at all those different moves that you've ever made, and you can click and go back. If you just select the different ones, you can go back to different places where you've been. Pretty awesome. So yeah, you can go back and figure out any place you ever were in history. So let's see if I go back to like that move right there, where all it was red. But this is where I really want to be. There, where I still had my yellow. So you do have undo history as well. Going back to my fill and stroke box, I'm going to minimize my undo history. So I can iconify this, and that just brings it over here. So if I ever want to go back to it, I can click on it. Anywho, save. I'm going to move this over a little bit so I can see everything. Okay. So now that I have my select and transform tool, and it's actually the rectangles area selected, I'm going to this fill, oops, Control Z. Sorry, I'm going to stroke, and I've got a solid stroke here. I'm going to click on this dropper. Don't know if my computer is going to let me do it, but I'll click the dropper, and it says pick colors from image, so click there. And I want to pick this purple color. And it did it. It changed my stroke to that purple color. Pretty cool. The eyedropper tool is really fun. Save, and I'm just going to click off of it so that nothing else is selected. And let's just go ahead and grab the rectangle, and let's draw another rectangle right here. Perfect. This other one, hold down Control and notice the way that you can get like 1-to-1 proportion, 1-to-2, 1-to-3. It'll snap into different proportions when you hold down your Control key. And that's how we are going to make a square. So scroll on over to your square, and let's go ahead and do that. Grab your rectangle tool, hold down Control, and just draw a square. Nice, that's how you do it. Hold down Control to draw the square. Now to get that beveled edge, I just grab this little circle right here. I'm going to go File, Save before I try to use that. And you'll notice that I could actually turn that right into a perfect circle. It's one way to make a circle. Or I can just have my edges beveled. So that works for me. Let's go to the ellipse tool. Now, what we've got selected right now is we've got a red fill and a purple stroke, at least I do. And I want to do a Pac-Man, so I'm going to change it to a yellow fill. So I'm going to go File, Save. I'm going to click yellow. That changes my fill to yellow. And I want my stroke black, so I'll hold down Shift and click black. Perfect. So I'm ready to make my Pac-Man. And I'm going to use this ellipse tool, and I'm just going to go ahead and drag like that. Now, if for some reason you ever draw something and it's like a half ellipse or whatever, up here you have different options. You can make a closed segment, which is what we're going to end up doing. You can make an open, unclosed shape where you'll have an edge that doesn't have a stroke, or you can turn it right into a circle or a whole ellipse. So if you're getting a Pac-Man or something, just turn it into a whole ellipse. You can grab your select and transform tool to move it over, and then make sure that you go back and get your circular ellipse tool selected again. And what I wanted to demonstrate is you've got this little circle here, and if you click that circle, click and hold, and draw your cursor so that it's away on the outside, you can actually go waka 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 waka. Your cursor's on the outside of the Pac-Man. So you can drag that one and then drag that one so you get that shape. Perfect. Click outside of it. Now we want to make the dots. Do you remember how to do dots? File, save. That's your pencil tool. You're going to click on your pencil tool, hold down Control, and just click. That dot's pretty small. I want to make it bigger, so I'm going to grab my select and transform tool, hold Control so it stays a perfect circle, and then you can enlarge it. Okay, and then you can also move it over. And you don't have to keep doing that. You can just go Control C, Control V. Whoops. You have to make sure it's selected. Yeah. My RAM doesn't like me right now. There it goes. It's selected. Control C, Control V to make another one. And now you can move them over and just put them in place. The one right there. And hit save whenever it's not working the way you want it to. All right, perfect. So there's your Pac-Man. Now come down, and we're just going to fool around with circles. So we're going to make a perfect circle. Just select your circle tool and hold down Control. Oh no, it made a Pac-Man. You know why? Because whatever you did, whatever those settings were, that's what it remembers. Well, we can fix that up here at the top. Remember, I told you that we could make that a whole ellipse, so go ahead and do that now. And now you've got your circle. You can grab your select and transform tool and just move that over. There we go. Perfect. Now you're ready to go ahead and draw another little circle right here. So File, Save, and let's go ahead and draw, oops. You have to make sure your circle tool is selected. And hold down Control. Perfect. And now we're going to show you how to turn that into a half circle. So up here where you have that switch to segment, click on that and then grab your little circle here and just bring that around. Now I don't know why it wants to switch back to this icon right here. What is that one called? The one that says unclosed shape. So just click on the closed one and then you'll have your whatcha-jigger, your stroke going around the whole thing. Okay, and you can pick that up and grab it and move it where you want to. And then go ahead, let's go File, Save. Let's draw another perfect circle. So grab your circle tool, hold down Control. Oh no, it's remembering my settings and it's only drawing a half circle. Do you know how to fix it? It's not that hard. All you have to do is go, whoops, let's click on it. Go up here and click on that. Make the shape whole. Okay? So make sure that you know that you always have little tool options up at the top that you got to learn how to use. Okay, so there's the circle. Next, you're going to do a 5-pointed star. So click on your star tool and up here at the top, make sure that the star is selected. Okay? And then you also have to make sure you only have 5 corners. And then you're just going to click and drag. Draw your 5-corner star. You can use your selection and transform tool to move it over. And if you click on it again, you'll get rotate handles, and you can rotate it and move it where it goes. If you click on your star tool again, you have these little handles in here, and if you hold down control, it's going to help so that it maintains proportions and doesn't get all googly and stuff on you. But you can change the shapes of your stars using those little handles. The next thing you're going to do is make a 10-pointed star. So you're just going to make sure you don't have that selected anymore. Click off of it, because otherwise it'll change the numbers of corners on that one. Go to 10 and then go ahead and draw your star that has 10 points. Grab your select and transform tool to move it down here. Click again so that you get your rotation handles and try to get it to match. If you have to play around with those inner handles, you can do that by just clicking on the star tool again. And that will allow you to make some changes there. Hold down control if you want to maintain proportions. And I know there's this little paintbrush here, and it says to reset shape parameters to default. So if you ever want to just restore things to your defaults, you do that by clicking on that little brush right there. And I don't know why those corners aren't sharp anymore. Bizarro. Well, when I clicked on that little brush, it set it back to the parameters, and now all I have to do is increase that to 10. And now I have sharp corners again. So that little default is really nice. All right, let's go over to Polygon. Make sure you save if you haven't in a while. And we're going to use the same tool, but we have to switch it to the polygon. And this is going to be a pentagon with 5 sides. So make sure that says, oh, look what we just did. When you don't click off of it, it'll automatically change the one that you have selected. So I'm going to hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and get back to where I was and click off of it. All right, now I'm ready to make my polygon, my pentagon. There we go. Pentagon, 5 corners, click and drag. Click again. Oops, click on your select and transform tool. Click again. And this might be hard because sometimes it won't let me get to rotate, but yours will if you just click on it twice. That's okay. Mine's not going to do it. Click save, and let's make an octagon. So this time we want to do a polygon with 8 corners or sides, and click and drag. And there's your octagon. And you can hopefully move it with your selection and transform tool, and hopefully rotate it. Yay, got my rotation handles. Perfect. And then you can change the fill to red, so you have a stop sign just by clicking red. Remember, if you want to change the stroke, you hold down shift. Perfect. So there is our stop sign. And now we are going to do something fun. We're going to do what we call vectoring. So you can see that whole thing. Just click your magnifying glass, hold down shift, and come out a couple times so you can see the whole thing there. Perfect. So this is where we're going to get into using layers. And you can click on your layers and they'll pop up. We're going to lock my work and not work in that layer anymore. And we're going to create a new layer. And I'm going to call this the head. And we're going to select that layer to let Inkscape know that's the layer I want to work in. The head is a circle, so it makes sense. Use the tools if you've got them, right? So grabbing the circle tool. And it says that my fill is red and my stroke is black. I don't want a stroke, So I'm going to hold down Shift and click down here at the bottom on the palette where it says none. And that's going to get rid of my stroke. And up here you can see it actually says none. That also can show up down here too, depending on what tool you're using. Could be in the bottom corner too. And my fill I want to be like the color of an emoji. So I'm looking for a yellow emoji color. And I'm going to just click to select that color. And that's the one that I'm picking up there. There it is. Now I can just draw my circle by holding down Control. Okay. And once you get a basic circle drawn, you can just go ahead and use your Select and Transform tool to make it larger or smaller by holding down Control and just stretching it out like that. Works real nice. Perfect. Okay, now I can't see what's underneath, so I need to hide that layer. So I'm going to make it invisible by clicking on the eye, and I'm going to lock it because I'm not going to work in that layer anymore. I'm going to create a new layer. I'm going to call that one my lips and sunglasses layer. Okay, and click on it to let Inkscape know that's the layer I'm working in. So if you're ever having a situation where something's not working, check to make sure you're in the right layer and check to make sure the layer is unlocked. If you're accidentally working in a locked layer, it's not going to do anything. Perfect. So let's go ahead and grab the Bezier tool. File, save, Bezier tool, and to do this, we're going to just click on the corners basically. So I'm gonna do like, I'm gonna call the corners of the mouth, I'm gonna make 2 corners in each of those. So I will, you're just, for the Bezier tool, you just click, click, click on the corners, and then we're gonna drag those paths, okay? So here I go. Click, 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 and I have to hit save in the middle of it because I'm not getting my red thing. And once you have your red thing, click there, and you've got the beginning of a beautiful mouth. Now you're gonna grab those nodes, edit paths by nodes, that nodes tool I call it, and you're just gonna click and drag and make your little smiley face so cute. Yes. Oh, isn't that precious? And you can drag these little handles around too. Just know that you do have some, one of them, I don't know where the other one's at. Sometimes you have to zoom in a little bit. Okay, if you click on that, it's going to show you your handles. And I don't know why one of the handles is not showing up, because that's a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to make it round and see up here at the top. I'm not guaranteeing that that's going to work. But yeah, I didn't like that. Hit Control Z. How can I get a grip on that handle? It just doesn't. Maybe if I move this line, it'll show up. There it is. Now I can see the handle. So I can just grab that corner. That's a little easier. Let's do that. Just gonna grab, let's say, yeah, just grab that and drag it, and that'll make it so that you have a rounded edge. Hopefully that made sense. Okay, and zoom back out. Click your zoom tool and hold down Shift. Zoom back out so you can see your face. We're gonna fill it with black by just clicking on the black, or it was more of a brown color, wasn't it? Let's see. I'll pick this charcoaly color. That'll work for the mouth. And I'm going to do the sunglasses, and I'm going to do them black. So I will change the fill on that to black. File, save, and click the black. Whoops, I didn't want that one black. Hit Control Z. Click off of it. Click anywhere. Oops. I got my zoom tool on. That's why it's doing that. You got to remember to switch your tools. All right, get my Bezier tool back out. Okay, sweet. Or my select tool. Just get your select tool and then click off of it so that it's not selected anymore. Then you can get your Bezier tool back. Hit save to refresh your RAM. And I'm just going to do the same thing where you're just clicking on corners. So I'm going to have corner here, corner here. I know these don't look like corners. But just keep clicking on where you have your imaginary corners. It'll make sense once you see the finished product. And I have to hit save to get that to light up red. Then you can click there. And now I can grab my nodes tool and I can bevel these edges. Fun. I have to hit save after I do every little thing. Yep. Could happen to you. Hope you're paying attention to that save thing. I have a lot of people that don't hear that for some reason, even though I say it a lot of times. Okay, so in essence, you're just dragging all your edges. Okay, and then once again, you can zoom in so you can do a better job on these places right here. Click your nodes tool and you can make that more rounded. You can click on that and you can drag the handles. That's a different handle. To get some handles on that one, you might have to go in here and drag that a little bit, and then you might get some handles showing up. Yep. Then you just, it just takes a little practice. Yeah, look at how those handles help you to round things. That's so nice. Just click on the node and then use those handles to try to make it look more rounded. It really does work. Remember, you can always grab the segments themselves. It's starting to look so good. So good. Loving it. That one looks really, oh, that one looks way better. How did I get that to look so good over on the other side? Oh, wow. So it's not perfect. It's okay. Mostly I just want you to have fun with it, okay? So don't get too crazy on yourself if it's not doing exactly what you want it to do. Just remember that I have the same issues you do. It just takes a lot of practice, and I've been practicing it for probably a little bit longer. Or if you're like a total digital arts geek, you've been practicing it for longer than me, and you're looking at me like, Mrs. Girot, you are so slow. I would have been done with this by now. Alrighty, so let's see if I can smooth that out a little bit. Woo! All right, that works. Zoom back out by holding shift with your magnifying glass, and then let's just go ahead and fill it. File, save, and click black. Ta-da! Grab your select and transform tool and click outside of it. And now let's show our head underneath, and voila! You did it. You vectored an emoji. Isn't that awesome? All right, the last thing I'm going to have you do is noodle around with some filters. So let's lock that layer. File, save, and add a new layer. We're going to call this one filters. Okay, and you're going to grab your rectangle tool and just grab a rectangle. If your edges are rounded, that's because we beveled the edges. So just go up here, and that I'm going to click save so you can see the name of it. It says make corners sharp. Click on that. There you go. We don't have any fill. Well, we do, but it's black. So let's change our fill to something like a little lighter, like whatever you want. Go with purple. And you can do a stroke by holding down shift and picking a color. Whoops. And let's see. I'll go with red. I like those colors together. So grab your select and transform tool so that it's selected, and you're going to go up to filters, and I just want you to noodle around and see what different filters do. So that one looked pretty cool. You can hit Control Z to take that filter away, and you can just go in and try out the different filters. Hit Control Z to undo it, and just go and play around with filters. Control Z to undo it. Control Z to undo it. And just have a ball seeing what they do. So there's all kinds of filters. Just remember to hit Control Z in between. And then some of them have dialog boxes, and you can click on the live preview to see what it's doing as you're making the changes. Mine is actually working, and then you click apply. Remember, if something's not working, just click. Oh, and it's gonna keep on applying it over and over again, however many times I click apply. So you can hit Control Z and go back to the version that you liked the best, or Control Y to redo something, and then you'll click on your next box. So get your, oh wait, I only have one box. So to make this easier, when you make that first rectangle, which you probably already did if you're watching this, go to your file, save, select, and transform tool, and hit Control Copy and paste it a couple of different times so that you can just copy and paste them and move them. That way you don't have to stop and create new boxes every time. And then you're just gonna select each of those boxes and go to filters and just play around with them and see what they do. Control Z to undo them. Image, paint, and draw. And then sometimes you just have all of these different, you can do the live preview so you can see what it's doing. Pretty fun. So cool. Have fun with those. And click apply. Oh, it didn't even work. My computer's being silly. Oh well. Hopefully you're getting the idea though. Control Z to undo something that you don't like. Dripping is dripping. You can apply more than one filter if you want to. That's chewing gum. Textures is also another. Look at fun. Textures is really cool. I'm going to go ahead and go through and look at a couple of different textures. Silk carpet. Gauche. Morphology. Let's see. Posterized blur. So just go in and get familiar, 3D marble, with your different filters, okay? Air spray is fun. You can also change your fill and your stroke to make it the way you like it. Ooh. Okay, so once you get your 4 filters done, I'll just pick one more for my, oh, I gotta select it. Make sure it's selected. There you go. Let's see. What else? Distort. Chalk and sponge. That's kind of similar to the last one. Hit Control Z if you're not really crazy for it. And just swirl. That one was okay. Ripple. So pick some filters, have some fun with it, and then you can zoom back out, or you can hit 5 and it'll make it the perfect size, right? And hit save. All right, and then you're just gonna go ahead and submit that to the Dropbox. This is your exit ticket for class today. So when you go into live classes and the week 1 Thursday, January 18th folder, you'll notice that there is a Dropbox here. You're going to submit that. That's your exit ticket. That shows me that you have all those skills that you need from Digital Arts 1 to continue forward with Digital Arts 2. Thanks so much, you guys. Have a great night.